Hello everybody and welcome to another video. I was almost doing my Sapphire intro because I've been doing those videos all morning, but today is a little bit different. We're talking again about Sword and Shield. It comes out in less than 14 days. So I am super hype. I hope you are super hype. What we are going to be talking about today is my thoughts and predictions on what some of the potential competitive battling strategies might be. Potentially, obviously, we know so little about the game still overall, but based on the information we have so far, I wanted to pinpoint and talk about a few things that I think are going to be definitely big players, key things about the metagame and the competitive battling strategies. So just going through all the new Pokemon basically and looking at new Pokemon abilities, their moves, and strategies that I think people are going to use with them. As far as the starters go here, we don't know enough about them, what their final evolutions are to really, or the legendaries. None of these we know enough about to where I can say anything definitive about how I think they're going to be used competitively. So we're skipping over those and kind of moving on to the new Pokemon here. So Gossiflower and I believe Eldegoss are evolution. So they have the Cotton Down and Regenerator ability. Then pure grass type Pokemon. Starting off, I think Eldegoss is a really cool looking Pokemon. It's got a giant poofy dandelion poof afro. But anyway, I think it's going to be a super bulky defensive Pokemon, and I think maybe even run as physically defensive, because I think the Cotton Down ability works if it's hit with a physical type of move. It's going to lower the speed, so it could take physical hits from other Pokemon, lower their speed, and then switch out to a Pokemon that could benefit from having the opposing team be slower. Maybe by lowering the speed stat of an opposing Pokemon, it forces them to switch out. So there could be a lot of uses I could see, depending on its stats, being pretty defensive, bulky. I don't know if we know anything. I'm on Cerebee's website here too. Yeah, we don't know. Obviously, we don't know their stats or anything quite yet, but yeah, definitely defensive. With its abilities Cotton Down and Regenerator specifically also, those are abilities that really benefit from it being able to take a lot of hits. And then Regenerator, it can take hits, set up Leech Seed. If this thing gets like spikes maybe, I don't know if it's going to get spikes. We'll see what other moves it gets, but I could see Leech Seed, Stun Spore being super annoying moves, or, to put Pokemon to sleep or paralyze them, and then heal up by switching out or lower their speed with Cotton Down. So I think it's going to be a really cool defensive Pokemon that's going to be used in battle that way. Wooloo is just adorable. I don't know. We don't really know what its evolution is or will be, or even if there is one. So skipping over Wooloo, but I love Wooloo. Corviknight though, Flying Steel. Definitely going to be a bulky, maybe slower, bulky physical attacker, I'm guessing. And then we know its Gigantamax form is going to be huge for competitive. This move right here is going to be used. I think he's going to be a super important Pokemon to use when you on a team, because he can Gigantamax, use the G-Max Wind Rage move, so it deals damage. And not all, so it's going to probably pack a wallop as far as how much damage it does, but it's also going to remove all of those reflect, light screen spikes, terrains as well, electric terrain, and so it's really going to do a lot with one move. So I feel like, and Flying Steel is a really good typing. I feel like Gigantamax Corviknight is going to be on a lot of people's team as their Gigantamax pick of what they're going with. Moving on to Dreadnought, Water Rock. Again, super bulky physical attacker, probably even slower and bulkier than Corviknight. Strong Jaw, Shell Armor. Believe Strong Jaw increases like the moves like Bite and Crunch and stuff like that. So I could see it, just being a really powerful physical attacker that, maybe probably get its rock type. So I'm guessing it's going to be something like setting up Stealth Rocks, which will, impact the opposing team switching in and out. Where's Gigantamax Dreadnought? And then Gigantamax Dreadnought, super huge, even bigger tanky kind of thing. Again, this is going to be, if people are going to want a Gigantamax that can do damage and set up, then I'm guessing people are going to use Dreadnought for that, because it's G-Max Stone Surge Gigantamax move doesn't just deal damage. Again, a lot of these do damage with additional effects. So its move does damage to an opponent and scatters stealth rocks upon the field. So really cool move there that's going to do, and then obviously be its big form for a couple moves before that Gigantamax goes away. Alchemy, I don't know if base Alchemy really... I can't see it being used unless it gets an evolution or something, or really only for its Gigantamax form is probably going to be used maybe competitively, because I mean, Fairy's a good type. So yeah, I mean, it does... This might be a good support Pokemon on teams if you want to have like a team full of good Pokemon that aren't Gigantamax, and if you want to use your Gigantamax. Again, I don't really know what this is going to do and how well this will do in competitive, but if it were going to be used, it's going to be, you know, to deal a little bit of damage and healing up your team. So kind of like a support Pokemon is kind of where I see Gigantamax Alchemy, but I love this giant cake. I think that is absolutely freaking hilarious. All of the different little designs here that it's got, like different patterns. So super high calorie missiles. So funny. So funny. Yamper, Roly-Coly, again, are super cool, cute Pokemon, but I'm guessing they both evolve. We don't really know what they're going to be used for in battle quite yet. I think Roly-Coly has potential because it has this steam engine ability. It's got some cool abilities. I think when it evolves, when I think it will evolve, it'll be useful with the steam engine ability, because if it gets hit with fire or water type, which are very common moves, you could switch your Roly-Coly or its evolution into that attack, get a speed boost. If its evolution is like a Golem or something that's slow, it switches into an attack, it gets a speed boost from like a fire type move, and then it hits it back with a super effective rock type move. I think could be some super interesting strategies actually with Roly-Coly, and I'm fairly confident in I believe it's going to get an evolution. Duraludon is definitely going to be used in competitive. Steel Dragon type, most likely if Dialga doesn't make it into these new games, which I don't think it will, my guess, it's going to be the new Steel Dragon. Super bulky, again, maybe special and physical attack. I don't really know what its stats are, but light metal or heavy metal, again, I think that just affects its weight, depending. So if you want it to be lighter or heavier, you could run it differently. But really don't know much more about it. It's got a signature move, I believe, that I don't remember, but it's basically a super strong steel type move that I think does recoil damage. But it looks really cool, and it's definitely gonna be a powerful Pokemon, because it's Steel and Dragon again are good types that are very competitively good normally. So. And then on to Galarian Weezing. Definitely, as we saw in the trailer that announced Galarian Weezing, it has the it's Poison Fairy, Levitate, and then its other ability, we totally know. I don't know why it doesn't show here. Sorry, I don't know if this article has the Galarian forms. No, this is just new stuff, so we don't have Galarian forms here. Let me search. Galarian Weezing. Here we go. Galarian forms. So yeah, it's neutralizing gas. I forgot. Oh yeah, it neutralizes abilities of Pokemon. So super helpful ability. It's definitely going to be used in like competitive. I think the 2v2 VGC battles. It'll be used to nullify abilities of Pokemon, so that its opponent can hit them, or its teammate could hit up the opponent's Pokemon after their abilities have been neutralized. Ponyta, I mean, I don't think we know a ton about. I don't know what Pastel Veil. How do you even spell it? I suck at this. Veil. Okay, I should have had all this stuff already. So Pastel Veil prevents. Okay, so yeah, again, maybe something that would be used competitively here. This one, I could see it being used to block its teammates from being poisoned. If it has maybe some other things it's good at, I mean, Psychic's a good type. So you could have a Galarian Ponyta or Rapidash on your team to prevent your teammates from being poisoned. But again, Poison Fairy is also an insanely good type. And especially if you do run it with the Levitate ability, it's only weak to Psychic and Psychic and Steel. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, definitely going to be a good Pokemon. I think Weezing is always been a good Pokemon, but getting the Fairy type, it's going to be used a lot. I bet Galarian Weezing is going to be on a lot of competitive teams. So moving on, I'm skipping to the final evolution of the new Zigzagoon. Obstagoon here is a dark normal type. It's got Reckless and Guts. So we're going to see basically two different super physically, probably fast physical attacking Pokemon. With Reckless, you're going to see Double Edge. Moves that do recoil damage get boosted with the Reckless ability. So it's definitely going to be used heavily with the Reckless ability, and also Guts is an amazing ability. If you give it Facade and a Toxic Orb or Flame Orb, that gets when it is inflicted by a status, its ability Guts boosts its attacking power. So we're definitely going to see it, be a super strong physical attacker. I think one of the strongest physical attackers in this game, dark and normal type, can just hit things neutrally for a lot of damage. I think it's going to be used. I'm excited to use Obstagoon on a team. Morpeko, I think, is a gimmick and not really competitive. I think same with Cramorant. I don't think either of these are going to be competitive. I don't really know if we know anything about Poltegeist. It might evolve, but again, these three are kind of gimmicks. They're cute Pokemon, but I don't think are super competitively going to be used as far as I can tell so far. We don't really know what the stats are for Galarian, or for SWSH, the evolution of Farfetch'd. But it's a signature move. Yeah, okay. So basically it gets its own Meteor Assault. I think it does recoil damage. So I think a strong fighting type Pokemon. We don't know much about it, but we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see more about SWSH. I think they're trying to make it better because Farfetch'd was never used in competitive. So I think it'll definitely, based on its new move, once we know how powerful it is and all that and its stats, we'll know more about how competitively it could be used. But we'll keep an eye on that. And then as far as all the rest of them are just the new Gigantamax forms. Again, the Gigantamax forms are really just going to be used, I think, to, they do damage and they do things like this one for Pikachu. Like if you want Pikachu on your team to Gigantamax and then spread paralysis to all of the opponents, that's going to be really helpful, again, in these double battles where, in VGC competitive Pokemon tournaments are all double battles. So definitely going to be seeing possibly Gigantamax Pikachu to spread paralysis, which is super devastating to have the opponent's team be like completely paralyzed for both of the Pokemon out on the field. Charizard, it's cool. I don't know. Its Gigantamax move isn't as good as some of the other ones because it deals damage and then it does some continuous damage to Pokemon that aren't fire types. So it doesn't affect every type, and I don't really know how much residual damage it's going to do over those 4 turns. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how much damage that does before we know if it's really going to be useful. But one thing I know is it looks phenomenal. It looks awesome. So. And then Gigantamax Eevee, I think, is another one with its becoming infatuated. Infatuation is never a status condition that really ever gets used in competitive. So as much as Eevee is cute, I don't think it will be used for competitive. And I believe similarly for, the Gold Rush, you just get in-game cash bonus. That's something you might just use in a trainer battle in the game when you're playing through to get more money, but it's not something that is going to be very helpful competitive. I think it's a gimmick, but it's a funny gimmick and it looks cool. Now, again, but Gigantamax Butterfree. Again, depending on what its stats turn into, it gets an amazing, it gets a really interesting Gigantamax move, G-Max Befuddle, that can put either poison, paralyze, or put all of the opposing Pokemon on the field to sleep. Not only does its Gigantamax form look awesome, I think it has a high possibility of being used in competitive for spreading status conditions. But yeah, I mean, we don't really have a ton of Pokemon to kind of go off of. But I think all these new Pokemon and how they're going to affect the metagame is really mainly Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing. You're really going to have to build your. I think you're going the best way to build a team for Generation 8 is going to be similar to how Mega Evolutions and Z moves. You can pick your Pokemon that you want to Z move or Mega Evolve, or in this case now Dynamax or Gigantamax, and you build your team around them, or you use them to fill the last spot on your team after you've built your team around maybe another Pokemon, and then you're like, okay, based on this Pokemon's weakness, I need a certain thing like Stealth Rock setting. Gigantamax Dreadnought also does damage. And super bulky, and then, or maybe you need to make sure there's no hazards or light screens or electric terrains on the field, so you use Gigantamax Corviknight to fill out your team. Or if you want to heal your team, again, Gigantamax Alchemy. If you want to spread status, you can use Pikachu for paralysis, or Butterfree's move to, and then again. So yeah, recap there, a quick little recap, but I'm super excited to use all these Pokemon. I haven't looked at any of the leaks, so I know there's been some leaks going out about the games with some new information. I haven't seen any of those. Please don't spoil them in the comments for me. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Keep this episode around 15 minutes or so. But yeah, those are some of my thoughts about the new Pokemon and how they might be used in competitive. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you're most excited for about Sword and Shield. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.